Hello, friends. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us here today for episode 11 of A Detoured Path, where we fully, firmly believe that sometimes the only thing we all really need in life is just a little reroute. My name is Chelsea Marie Mauger, and I'll be your host here today and every day on The Detoured Path. So to all our new and returning listeners out there, if you're finding yourself in need of a little reroute, or already meandering down that unforeseen pathway in life, whether by choice, force, or somewhere in between, or just interested in possibly thinking about things a little bit differently, this could be the show for you. We will be sharing personal accounts, stories, and a variety of perspectives in order to help us all gain a greater sense of community and connectivity in this little thing we call life. Just a little disclaimer before we begin. Though we do try to keep a mostly G and or PG rating here at A Detoured Path, we are discussing life, and life is not always G and or PG rated. That's just something to keep in mind in case you are listening with any little itty-bitty tater tots present. Chelsea, tell me a story. Inspiration is a funny thing. It literally can come at any time, from anywhere, and can strike when you least expect it. Sometimes it even shows up in the form of advice that we are giving to someone else. There is actually even a whole school of thought that says we give the advice that we ourselves actually need to hear. A visual for you. Picture this: a mirror where one version of the self, our self, a higher version of the self, one that is more experienced, all-knowing, one that is privy to what is to come, what will be, and what is actually intended, speaks to us, schooling us in a calm and gentle manner, guiding us on and down the path of least resistance towards a better, more bountiful, and beautifully inwardly self. Sounds fabulous, right? Absolutely glorious. The question is, though, do we listen to this self? This all-knowing self? This one that is privy to what is to come, what will be, and what is actually intended? Or do we choose to walk away because our advice is actually only applicable to someone else other than us and never for us? Well, are we actually our own worst enemy? Because we are our own worst pupil. Instead of an A for effort, have we actually really given ourselves an F? And walks the hand of guidance, touch soft to redirect, moving paths and parts and people, slowly to reflect. She holds you for attention. Her caress begins to grow, making things once thought as harder, more simpler than you know. She comes here to surrender all your fears, your woes, your doubt. What she wants is freedom for you. Freedom. Breathe in, breathe out. Purge your insecurities. Leave them at the door. Abandon hesitation. Do what you've come here for. Let go of past and present and things that don't make sense. Your course is still unfolding. Let go of the pretense. One of the greatest gifts I have been able to give myself is the relinquishing back into the universe the idea that I have absolutely any inkling of what my gifts from the universe should look like, what form they should come in, or how they should be packaged, because the thing is, I don't know. I actually don't know. We all don't know. None of us really know. What even makes us think we should know? We don't actually know for sure what the future has in store for us. Even a seer doesn't know everything about everybody that ever lived, will live, or who has lived. Even if we can see some things, that doesn't necessarily mean we can see everything the universe has in store for us. We may have a plan, but that doesn't mean that it is also the universe's plan. Even if our plan and the universe's plan do coincide, there is no guarantee that every aspect of the me, myself, and I dilemma will all want to be compliant to all aspects of that all the time. Our plan, though it may be laced with the best of intentions, is only backed by the knowledge and experience we have had up until this very moment in time. It does not take into account the things we are learning, the things we will learn, and the things we have yet to even fathom as a learning possibility. Once I said to myself, okay, self, I don't know. I really don't know. A wave immediately washed over me, away from me, and slid down my back like a metal slide on a children's playground, carrying with it a weight I didn't even know was there. It was like an imaginary heavy hood filled with snow was suddenly removed from my head, and underneath that hood was a magical enchantress I always knew was there, but was never fully there on the surface. No longer was it necessary to continue living out life like her disguised alter ego, the old crone. So, what do we do when we finally catch this old crone and we want to ditch her right then and there in the tracks that she seemed to pop out of? What do we do when we finally come to the conclusion that we don't actually know what is truly best for us? What do we do when we begin to question if we actually really do know what is right for us or not? It is possible that although we may have been doing something that worked for us, it did work for a time. It actually did work for a long time, but maybe it doesn't seem to fit anymore. Maybe it no longer seems appropriate. If this is the case, what do we do then? She pauses for reflection. Okay. What do I do? What do I do then? She pauses. Yet again. Okay. Better yet, what have I been doing? What have I been doing to cope? She recollects. I have been turning to a wall, a building, or any other strong and sturdy structure that is attached to the ground. I want it to stretch downwards into the earth and then extend upwards and outwards as far as the eye can see. You could use a tree, I suppose. An oak would work pretty well, I imagine. But I personally, however, usually end up using something man-made, like cement or brick and mortar. I want something that was created by man, built by man, and can stand strong and tall from what started as only a seedling of an idea in someone else's vision of a future reality. I want to touch what they touched when they created it. I want to feel the emotion that they felt at its inception when it took an external form. I want to connect to what they saw for themselves and then draw inspiration from what they saw. I want to be able to build on that inner strength. I want to see what rose from out of them. I want to add to it. She continues. I can feel that strength through the building. I can feel that power through the rock. I can feel the immediate grounding and the instantaneous structure that reverberates up through my spine. The energy transfers back and forth from that building up and through me. Each vertebrae is stacked neatly, soundly, and strongly, one right on top of the other like bricks in that building. I feel its shape, giving me shape. I feel its structure giving me structure. I feel stronger because I am grounded. Because I am grounded, I'm able to be fluid. Because I have an anchor to hold tight to and an anchor to come back to, what lies above that anchor has permission to be and feels free to be resilient. I can come and go as I please because I know I will always have a home to come back to. I am free to wander. I am free to take chances. I am free to take a step, a walk, and/or a run into the unknown. I am free to go in a different direction. I can jump. I can swim. I can lily pad upon lily pad, skipping, hopping, and frolicking without fear of falling because there is nothing and no one to fall to or from. I am rooted. I am strong. No matter where I go or when I travel, I will always have someone and something holding me up, helping me out, and handing me safe passage via guidance and carrying me along. And guess what? I did, quote, unquote, nothing. I literally did nothing. I did nothing particularly noble or spectacular. I did nothing that was out of the ordinary. I am nobody more special than anybody else. I'm just me and everything that was intended to mean. I felt ungrounded. I felt disconnected. I felt unsafe. It felt like I was floundering, but I made a decision to try to find a way to fix that. I made a decision to try to find a remedy. I made a decision to try to find a solution. And I did, because I decided to grab a hold of something I knew was strong. I latched onto something I knew could build me up. There is no need for something that will tear me down. We all don't need anything that will tear us down. We don't need people that will tear us down. We don't need people that will cut at our throats or encourage us to feel stuck in distress. We need to lift each other up. We can lift each other up. We have to build each other up because we are the brick and mortar that hold our ecosystem up. We are the foundation that keeps our house standing steady and strong on the ground. We are the literal and figurative glue that keeps us all connected. We are the literal pillars that will either keep our building standing tall or give it a reason to collapse. I don't know about you, but I do not want to live my life out stuck in or under the rubble. So we must choose. The chips stacked in a row, life seeming so low. I thought I took a hard blow, but my ego said no. I made the choice to let go. I choose my life and to let flow. So down the river we go. Thank you so much for your time and attention thus far. We are just going to take a brief moment to recognize today's sponsor, Anchor, for providing a free platform for people like myself to get their podcast off the ground. With little to no previous technical know-how, Anchor makes the whole process pretty straightforward. Go to anchor.fm, that's ANCHOR.FM, or download the free Anchor app today to get started. With just a click of a button, you too can be heard on multiple platforms. And down the river we go. The river of life is a funny thing. Sometimes we don't even realize we are in it until after we have already gotten wet. We curse and scream at the current for pulling us along, but it isn't even really the current's fault for pulling us along. It isn't doing anything that it wasn't already created to do. It isn't doing anything other than what it was intended for. That would be like getting mad at a cat for meowing. We wouldn't expect it to bark, now would we? Just because something isn't going the way we think it should, doesn't mean it isn't going the way it was planned. No one gets mad at the artist after they have completed their masterpiece and screams, "No, you did it all wrong." How would we know if it was done wrong or not? Did we paint it? Did we draw it? Did we write it? Did we sing it? No. She pauses intently. We didn't. So how could we possibly know what its original intent was? Even if it started off going in one direction and landed in another, that still doesn't mean where it ended up was wrong. Maybe it hasn't even really ended yet. Maybe it's just beginning. Maybe what was seemingly unintentional has actually redirected the path to go exactly in the right direction. Maybe there were certain steps in a certain order that had to be taken that would only have been right for us to take. Maybe they wouldn't have worked for anybody else but us. Maybe they came to us in a way that only we could understand and would have literally meant nothing to anybody else but us. We may only see a sign as a sign if it truly resonates with us. If it doesn't resonate with us, it probably wasn't ours to receive in the first place. However, if we don't get a sign when we think we should get a sign, that doesn't mean we have been forgotten. Sometimes even the quote, unquote, lack of a sign could be a sign. And sometimes it also just means we need to be patient. Maybe things just haven't gotten there yet. Maybe we just haven't gotten there yet. Some of the most impactful words that have recently graced my presence are, when it feels like the creator has stepped back, or radio silence as I like to call it, it is so that we use it as an opportunity to rise and elevate. When we look at it like that, as an opportunity to rise and elevate, I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like I have just been given a tremendous gift. Because of that, all I want to do is say, well, thank you. Because gifts are almost always intended to be a good thing. It doesn't really make all that much sense to get mad at the gift now, does it? Just because it may not have been given to us in a way that we originally wanted, that doesn't actually make it a bad thing. That also doesn't mean that that gift isn't the best road, path, or option for us right now, in this moment, at this given moment in time. For all we know, it could have been the very best thing that has ever happened to us. And who are we to argue with the very best thing? Interesting. The very best thing. And friends, on that note, I believe that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining us from wherever or whenever you are doing so today. Feel free to comment, message, support, donate, and subscribe by going to our host platform, Anchor. We are located at anchor.fm/a-detoured, DETOURED-path, PATH. We are available and searchable internationally on 21 platforms, but going directly to our host platform, Anchor, is the best way to stay in the know and get connected. Leave a review and/or rating if you liked what you heard, and hit subscribe to get all the latest podcast updates and information. By choosing to support and donate, your generous contributions will help to continue the workflow, volume, and frequency of A Detoured Path, so that we can continue to flood your airways on a more regular basis. And if you like what you heard and feel like someone you know could really benefit from listening to today's episode, feel free to share it and pass it along. Let's start by being a pillar to help lift each other up. When we can't or are unable to lay our own foundation, sometimes we have to rely on the kindness of others to help get the ball rolling. In the meantime, if you're looking for more thoughts, stories, and insights while you're waiting for the next episode of A Detoured Path to come out, you can find the book Short Girl Diaries, Unedited and Grammatically Incorrect by Chelsea Marie Mauger. Last name is spelled capital M-A-U-G as in great, E-R as in red, which is available on Amazon in both print and Kindle formats, as well as through the Kindle Unlimited program, where you can read pages for free. We have also recently become a contributor for Medium.com, and articles can be found at chelsea-marie-mauger.medium.com. Also, come find us on Instagram by following at Chelsea Marie Mauger, all one word, CHELSEA-MARIE-MAUGER. Stop by and say hi. Say the podcast sent you. So until next time, my name is Chelsea Marie Mauger, and you've been listening to A Detoured Path, where we firmly believe that sometimes the only thing we all really need in life is just a little reroute.